Welcome to Long Way of Alternative Parties podcast. Stay friends, we have another exciting guest on this podcast, like we always do. His name is Dave Sutliff-Atias, and he is running for office under the banner of the Green Party, and he's going to talk to us about his campaign in this off-year season, so that's going to be interesting to see what he has to say. So welcome to the podcast, Dave.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Not too bad. How about yourself today?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. So if we could get started by you kindly giving us an introduction to yourself, a brief biographical sketch.
Sure. Well, I am currently running for a seat in Rochester City Council, and that's Rochester, New York. And it's where I was born and raised. There's, like you said, it's an off-year election. There are 5 at-large seats, and all I got to do is come in the top 5.
Great.
This is my 3rd time running for city council as a Green and my 5th time running overall. I've also worked on a bunch of other Green Party campaigns locally as campaign manager, but then peripherally I've worked on some Green gubernatorial campaigns as well as presidential campaigns from the local standpoint. And I even got a chance to run a Democratic primary campaign for state legislature in Hawaii.
Oh my.
Yeah, that wasn't planned. It just kind of worked out that way. So,
oh wow.
Yeah. So obviously the election is in November, and in about a little bit over a month, I start petitioning to get on the ballot, in which I'll be going to get 2,500 signatures of registered voters in the city. And technically, I am running as an independent because the Democrats in New York State don't like competition, and they recently tripled the requirements to be a party in New York State, and the Greens don't have our ballot status anymore. So I'm technically running as an independent, but when you go to vote for me in November, it'll say Green next to my name.
Oh, good. So on the ballot, it will say it.
Well, when I do pass my petitions, it'll say on there Green Party. Now that I'm an independent, I can call it whatever I want. I can call it the Dave Party. I can call it the, Street Lamp Party, but I'm registered Green, and I'm trying to promote the party, so I will have on my petition for a Green Party.
Okay, wow. It sounds like you have a lot of experience, and the Green Party has used a lot of your services over the years.
Yeah, I stumbled upon it a long time ago. I'm a teacher, and we were doing my students and I were doing a project on the presidential election back in 1996, and one student picked the Green Party, and I was just kind of reading over their shoulder and was like, hey, I'm into all this stuff. And so I contacted somebody at the national level, and they gave me an email address to for local, and the next thing you know, I'm in the basement of a church, and we're plotting putting Ralph Nader for President signs over highway overpasses, and just kind of took off from there.
Oh my, that's good stuff. So you believe that teachers can learn from their students?
Oh, of course. Oh my gosh. Good ones do. Absolutely. Look, any teacher who goes into their classroom thinking that they know everything, and obviously I'm going to know more than my students. I'm older than them. I just have more experience. But I don't have their experience. So absolutely, if you come in with an open mind, you can always learn something from your students. I do just about every day.
Oh, good. Good way to look at things, and I trust that'll be a good attitude to have in an elected office position because you want to learn from your constituents as well.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be finishing up with you, and then I'll be going to a neighborhood association meeting across town, and I'll just be sitting there listening and taking notes. My calendar is booked most days, other than Sundays, and there are sometimes I got 4 things at the same time, and I'm going to listen. I'm going to hear about the problems that they're having, the potential solutions they might have, and then take what I learn and then do my own research and try to come up with my ideas, and that's what I'm promoting on my campaign.
Sounds good. So from your past campaigns, what did you learn that you're bringing into this election?
Well, the funny thing is, so the past 2 times that I've run for city council, I've advocated for a few things, and I'll tell you about it in a sec. But what's happened is, even though I haven't won, there hasn't been a non-Democrat elected in the city of Rochester in over 40 years.
Oh, no.
So, So even though I haven't won, there are things that, because you go to candidate forums and you get to see, and you put stuff out on social media And there are a couple of places, local news outlets that will interview all candidates, not just the ones they assume are going to win. And so these other candidates will hear some of my ideas, and when they've won, they have taken them and done some of them, and then sometimes they've screwed them up. But a senior citizen property tax exemption, that's brand new, but I've been advocating for that since 2013. A children's savings account program where any child, now I had it as any child born in the city of Rochester would get a bank account starting off with, I think it was $50. And then they could do whatever they want with it. They could leave it, but they couldn't do anything. They couldn't take money out without certain exceptions until they were 18. And then it needed to be for school, job, or house, something like that. Planting fruit trees in public spaces. Having a department at City Hall to help promote cooperatively owned businesses for economic development, and just a few other things too. So whether I win, lose, or draw this year, the things that I'm going to be talking about, I would like to think that even if I win, I'm going to be one of 9 people, but the other people on City Council will have heard my ideas and maybe be ready to work with me to kind of get some of them going.
Yeah, that's a good approach.
Yeah.
So for this time around, what are the issues in your campaign?
So my plan was to pick 2, right, and really focus on them. And I have stuff on, well, just like the list I ran down, I have stuff on a lot of problems that we have that any city has these days. But something's cut, and they were, housing is a human right. We have, like many cities, we have this horrific homelessness problem here in Rochester.
Oh, no.
And then I was going to bring in something new that I still am, but something has replaced that idea. I was going to start talking about, and I still will, universal child care. Because it's not an issue in New York State that the cities deal with. It tends to go more about the county level, but the county screws it up so bad that we have a lot of poor and working poor parents who need child care. And we already have recreation centers, so we can take that and put more resources into them to also have them become child care centers. And so those were the 2 main things I was going to focus on. But just recently, and this again is something that I have advocated for since 2013, but it's really come to the forefront. And I think that's going to be my main focus. And that's starting a public utility.
Okay. What type specifically?
Yeah, the gas and electric company here used to be locally owned.
Oh, okay.
And one of the CEO at the time, who ended up becoming mayor later on, facilitated the selling of it to a corporation based out of Spain. And since that's happened, it's been horrible.
Oh, no.
Bill rates have skyrocketed. The service is horrible. It's just unbelievable. And you can go on social media that's centered on just local groups, like on Facebook and things like that. And it's just people every day complaining about our utility company. So a public utility would be owned, run through the government and run by us. There would be a board that oversees it, and we can decide together how those people will be on that board, maybe have term limits, things like that. But the service wouldn't change, and there's actually state law in New York. And this is not a concept that's just in New York State. If anybody who's listening is fed up with their corporate-owned utility company, do the research, find out how your state allows this, and organize folks to get to get rid of the corporate utility and replace it with a public one. And rates tend to be cheaper, and if there's any money that does come in as profit, goes into help the city run this utility, and not into some rich people's pockets or to help somebody's stock portfolio or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's also more say in how we get the energy if we want it to be more renewable. So it's really win-win all across the board locally. The only thing that's going to hurt is the rich people in Spain who own the corporation.
Yeah, and I imagine because they're in Spain, it's harder to hold them accountable.
Oh, absolutely. So when you pay your bill here, the money goes immediately to Massachusetts out of Rochester, New York, and then from there it moves on to Spain. So the money leaves the economy.
Oh my. Oh
And
my.
because that is such a huge issue for folks right now, my campaign is starting to pivot to really focus on that. I still
Oh
have the other
good.
stuff. I definitely have ideas with housing. If you go to my website, there's stuff there on housing and doing what we can locally to stop genocide around the world and all these other ideas. And I'm adding more all the time. But I think the main focus that I'm going to be hammering at is this public utility.
Okay. So, wow. Okay. So how would you have to change that? Would it be through a ballot initiative or by a
Yeah.
city council vote?
Yeah, so what happens is the state, in New York State, there's a set of hoops you gotta jump through. So the first one is you have to pay for a feasibility study. And if that finds that it's a doable thing, which it will, but if it finds it's a doable thing, then you have to start negotiating with the corporation because you have to buy the infrastructure. You have to buy the wires. You have to buy the poles. You have to buy
Oh.
the stations that they use to, transport the electricity. And there's just, it is complicated, no question. And this is going to take years. But, the old cliche, every long journey starts with a first step. So
Yeah.
you gotta get going if we want to have it done in my lifetime. I want my daughter to benefit from it.
Oh, sure. Sure. Okay. So, okay, so that's good. So it's going to take a while, but you want to get the process rolling under your term if you get
Yeah.
elected.
Yep. In fact, I have said that. The first thing I will do when I'm in office is propose legislation to start that feasibility study.
Okay. And the feasibility studies, you said they cost money, but they typically are favorable to the people doing them?
I don't know if typically they are. I just know how things are here in Rochester. It will definitely be favorable because because the corporate one we have is so bad.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the current city council and the mayor have already set aside money for this study. They just won't do it. They won't start it. The money's just sitting.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, wow.
They're playing politics. I know that's a cliche, but they basically are.
Okay.
So again, if I don't come in the top 5 and if I don't win, I'm hoping that these months from now up until November of me hammering away at that will spur them to actually take action.
Okay. Now, Rochester, New York, a lot of people have heard of that, yet
Hmm.
they may not know all the details of the city. So how big is Rochester, New York?
It's what they call a mid-sized city. We have just a little bit over 200,000 people.
Okay.
Population has been declining over the years.
Interesting.
We used to be a company town. This used to be the biggest employer. It used to be Eastman Kodak.
Oh.
And as they're not as big anymore, they are not even close to the biggest employer. And which is good because our workforce is a lot more diversified, but it's also made us a little bit poorer overall because we
Oh,
don't
okay.
have Big Daddy Kodak anymore to, make sure everything goes well. And it's just like a lot of mid-sized cities up here, we've seen better days and, we do have an amazing art scene here.
Oh, good.
And actually a lot of folks who leave here tend to end up coming back,
Huh.
which is a cool thing. It just shows that, which is good. You go out and you see the rest of the world and you see other cities and other towns and you go, you know what? Rochester wasn't so bad after all, and they tend to come back.
Oh, there you go. That's a good way to look at it. So how far from
And,
New York City is Rochester exactly?
it's about 5.5 hour drive.
Okay, so it's a ways.
Yeah, a little bit, but my daughter used to go to school on Long Island and I've made the drive relatively frequently. You get used to it.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, gotcha. Okay, wow. That's interesting.
We're right in between Buffalo and Syracuse. We're about maybe 90-ish minutes from Niagara Falls. So
Okay, so you're in a pretty good position there.
yeah, oh, absolutely. And we're bracing ourselves for what we're calling climate change refugees, because with the
Huh.
Great Lakes we have a lot of fresh water, and our weather, yes, we get snow, absolutely. You can say how snowy it is up here in Rochester, but we don't get earthquakes. We generally don't get any huge fires, no flooding, no tornadoes, so no hurricanes. Weather-wise, it's you get 4 seasons and it's actually relatively safe. So we're actually anticipating people in more dangerous parts of the country to start looking to move here. And that's another reason why we need this utility company, because with
Oh
the
yeah.
grid we have right now, if we start getting more people in, we're going to need that infrastructure to be able to handle it.
So has the grid been able to keep up with the winter weather there?
Yeah, so far it's been fine. But again, like I said, population's been declining a little bit. But if we
Okay.
do start getting climate change refugees, I don't know if it will.
Okay. So it's something you want to be on the ball with in case it goes south.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
have a history. We have a history in this town of kicking things down the road and then having it come back to bite us. Man, I just used like 4 cliches in that sentence, but
That's okay. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So yeah, that's good that you have the foresight to think ahead like that.
Mhm. And generally the Green Party tends to do that.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right from what I know about the Green Party, so sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So you say the election is in November, like most elections are, and then
Mhm.
you said the petitioning is in another month. You have to have the petitions done by. Is that what you said?
No, so my first day that I can get signatures is April 15th,
Okay, so you
and
can't
I
start until
have
then.
about 6 weeks. So I have until about May 20th. Everything has to be turned in by May 27th.
Okay, okay. So because it's a city election, are you going to do door-to-door stuff?
Yeah. So what's going to happen for petitioning? So a lot of folks are looking at the number of signatures I need and think that this is a bad thing. And I get it. Why? Because if we had ballot status, I would just need 50 greens to sign my petition and I'd be on the ballot. In this case, I need 1,500 at a minimum, but you really want more like 2,500. So that's a lot more work, but that's just campaigning. I mean, if I were on the ballot that quick anyway, I would still be going and talking to voters. So to me, it's just you're making me go campaign, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah,
So
there you
yes,
go.
I will be doing door to door 6 days a week. In my experience, people don't tend to be home much on Fridays after work hours. So, and gives me a day off. So the other 6 days I'll be doing door to door. Every Saturday we have one of the, best public markets in the country here in Rochester. And especially as it starts warming up now, I'm talking like a lot of people. Like you can barely move in there sometimes during the summer.
Wow.
And so we'll be there every Saturday doing that. There is something else that Rochester is known for, our Lilac Festival. That'll be
Lila.
happening. Yeah, that'll be happening during my petitioning window, and I'll be at that getting signatures. And then any other event, I have campaign volunteers and supporters emailing me, "Hey, Dave, have you seen this? This is coming up. Hey, have you seen that?" And I will be out there just every night, pretty much, doing something to get more signatures for 6 weeks.
Okay, good, good. You got a good plan ahead of you. That's good.
Yep.
Have you ever came across that student who introduced you to the Green Party since he graduated and moved on?
No, I don't think he lives anywhere near her anymore. I have not.
Oh my.
I haven't seen him. I'm sure he's doing fine. I haven't. I mean, this was since 1996, so this was quite
Yeah,
some time ago.
yeah. Yeah, that's interesting because I think about how we as an adults look back and we think about people who were mentors to us who influenced our
Mhm.
lives. So in this case, it was a student who was a pivotal point in your life. So
Sure.
yeah,
And
it's
then from there,
interesting how it
reaching
goes.
out, the people I have met along the way have been inspirational to me and been mentor, whether they've meant to or not. They've been mentors to
Sure.
me. I mean, candidates who I've worked with, who I've volunteered for. Jill Stein has been here in Rochester 3 times in the times she's run. And
Oh
most of
my.
the time when she's here, I tend to be her, whatever you want to call it, her volunteer staff member. I'm the one who makes sure things are taken care of, that she has a place to stay, that kind of thing. And
Okay.
same thing with David Cobb when he's come to town, when he ran for president, and just statewide people like Howie Hawkins, who also ran for president as a Green, when they come to Rochester. I mean, just meeting those people and getting to know those people, whether they know it or not, it wasn't their intention, but I've learned from all of them.
Okay. And I trust they're all down to earth.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh yeah. No, I have not met a Green candidate, especially for bigger office, that has not just been amazing.
Oh, good, good. I did interview Howie on this podcast a long time ago. It was like 2022, I think. So it was about 3 years ago. And of course, because of he's a big name, I got nervous, but he was very easy to deal with, and he was very unassuming because I happened to talk to the Syracuse chapter because I was wanting to talk to their chapter, not him in particular, and he answered it, and he handled it very with humility, like he was another Green. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. How and even Howie's come a long way. I remember when I first met him, he was a little. I don't know if I should be saying this. But he was a little on the off-putting side, and the more he got out there and ran for office more and more times, I think he finally, like you said, very unassuming and is just an amazing wealth of knowledge. I mean,
Yeah.
you can go and look online for his writing or anything that's on video or the podcast he does, but just listening to people like that. David Cobb started his own podcast, Redneck Going Green, just recently. That's amazing. Just listening to Greens, talk about the issues and talk with other people who are doing wonderful things, has just made me proud to be a Green, to be honest.
Oh, good. Good to hear. So, Dave, how can our audience support you in your campaign?
Well, you can check out the website at www.dayforchange.org, and that's actually the handle of all my social media: Facebook, Twitter. I still call it Twitter. I will do that. Blue Sky, YouTube. All the handle is Day for Change. And again, any ideas you like, any critiques you have, that's awesome. I will, while Greens and people on the left tend to shy away from asking for money, I'm old and I don't care anymore. So if you would like to donate to my campaign, you can do that at the website. That would be amazing. And every cent we get uses to talk about issues, just to get the word out about issues. That's what this is going to be about, whether I win or lose.
Perfect. All right, Dave, thank you for coming on the podcast today. I appreciate your time and you talking to us.
Oh, anytime. I really appreciate you reaching out.
All right, we wish you all the best with your campaign and also everything in your personal and professional life.
Thanks a lot. You too.
All right, take care.
Yep.